Hey there guys, do you want to learn how to modify some 351 Cleveland 4V heads? Well, I'm going to show you some, what I would say, minor mods that I did to mine for some solid increases on your 351 4V set of cylinder heads. Alright, let's get to it guys. We're checking in on an old vintage set of 351 Cleveland 4V heads. Yes, the 4V heads. Some of the wildest heads that were ever put on a small block from the factory anywhere pretty much ever. If you know anything about these, I'm going to do a quick rundown. They are a 2.19, almost a 2.2 inch intake valve, 2.19 inch intake valve. They are a 1.71 exhaust valve. These things are very large and very carnivorous. They make other small block heads look tiny. So that being said, they won a lot of races back in the day. This, if you wanted to win back in the 70s, between the 70s and early 80s, this is the style engine you ran. And see, if you don't know, Pro Stock, they switched out of big blocks back in the early 70s. So you had to run a small block, or else you got a massive weight penalty to try and run a big block, which made it impossible to do. And there was some other stuff going on. But anyway, they ran small blocks in the 70s in Pro Stock. And there were some Hemis and stuff like that ran. But get this, the heaviest weight brake cars there were cars that had this cylinder head on it. If you ran a 351 Cleveland, you had the heaviest car that you could possibly have in the class, because they were that dominant. They had to slow them down somehow. But even still, they won almost every single Pro Stock victory during that era. So it took them switching to big blocks with aluminum heads, etc. Back in the 80s before they ever got away from this particular engine. So that's how good they were. I'm sure a lot of you know this, and they know you're familiar with this head. But yeah, it weighs a ton, but it actually works pretty good. So in this particular head, now I've had a lot of guys tell me, don't touch that 4V head if you're gonna have a 550 lift cam or something like that, or 500 or whatever. So I took that as a challenge to improve airflow at the lower part of the lift, especially on the intake side. That was my goal, is to really help the intake side on this with taking minimal material. Now I didn't take very much material out of this. I really left a lot in it. I tried to leave as much as possible, and just enough to improve this thing a little bit and make it better. Out of the box, you know, straight off the engine back in the day, I've got the numbers over here. It only let me 246 CFM at 500 thousandths, which wasn't that much, but compared to the other heads of the day, it was a ton. Now at 600 thousandths, it was 273 CFM at 600 thousandths, which was a massive difference straight off the engine compared to other engines. And I've heard of this cylinder head being ported to just over 400 CFM. Now the exhaust side, if you know anything about the exhaust side of this thing, definitely is not great. That's the reason back in the day they would cut off that part of the cylinder head and you would bolt on another piece, and they would call it a high port cylinder head. And so that they could raise that up roughly an inch over stock, so it wouldn't have that terrible short turn like it does. Now, we made it better. We left as much material in there as possible because of what this head needs to do. But we'll just kind of go into that. I'll show you what I did, and it's very minimal, I'm telling you, but the gains you got out of it were pretty substantial. Now, one of the things that I had done to this head is it has port stuffers. This has aluminum port stuffers, and I'll show you right now. You can see the port stuffers in the picture right here. Now I'll give you some close-ups of this head, and I'll just kind of break down some of the things that I can remember because those videos are gone, but I had videos of what I was doing during the time and what used to be there and how I improved it. So I'm just gonna have to show you some video of what it looks like now and try and remember some of the areas that it looked like before. So we'll get right into it here. All right. So here we go. There's the port stuffers. Now that port stuffer is because this port drops way down, so it has to go uphill and then go around the short turn radius. So that's basically dead airspace that's slowing down the airspeed of this port. So if you can fill up that lower part of the port that is useless, you can help improve the efficiency of it. So say part throttle, tip in, stuff like that. I'm going to, you know, part throttle, full throttle. It should have more torque from improving that airspeed at that at low throttle. So this is also something that they used to do back in the pro stock days. And as you can see, that is the only thing I've done to the entrance of this. See in the video, it's literally, there is nothing done on the entrance of this port except for port stuffers. Now, when you look back in there, you can see there's some work done to that valve guide boss. So I'm going to flip that up and show you what we're looking at from there. All right. There we go. So as you can see, I'm going to put some more light on this deal here. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that here. There, this is better. Now we can really see this. So in here, you can see around the guide boss that I made this a lot thinner in this area. But still, I left more than the new valve guides. This has new valve guides in it. If you see that, you can see right here how thick it is. So those new valve guides, there's plenty of material in there for that. But I thinned this out right here, made it a lot easier for air to go around the boss on both sides. And then right here, you can see I kind of made a point at the end of it here. So I made space for air to travel by this valve guide boss, and then up in here I fixed this area so you can see that. So I'll give you a close-up. It's, you know, the angles and what you see on video, it doesn't always look like it does in person, and sometimes it looks weird, but that's kind of what I did in that area. And then right here, which is just below the valve seat area, you can see that right here there used to be a big step where that material would come out and then dip back in. So I got rid of that material that did that, and it did that pretty much all the way around this bowl area. So I took that big hump that used to be here, that used to go all the way around, And I laid that back, so we just were pretty close to level in this area. Not completely, but pretty close. So you can see that I didn't touch this area up here at all. Most of this part I didn't touch. All right, so that's kind of what you see in that area. Then of course the short turn. The short turn, let me turn this down here. All right. The short turn, just like the other side, there used to be a hump. We got rid of that hump. And we started just laying that back a little bit. Now, these short turns, they don't have a lot of material in them. But you can make the intake short turn pretty nice. And like I said, I didn't take a ton out of this thing. I just tried to use the shape that was there and just improve on it and leave as much material as I could. So I'm trying to get you some good shots of what you're looking at. I know it's hard to see, but radius that short turn and make that short turn. It used to be kind of a straight cut where it came down and it was a straight 90 right there. And we got rid of that and we smoothed that all out and radiused it. So now it's a nice round radius area all the way around there. And then I finish it off with emery cloth, pulling that through there. You may have seen that on some of my other videos, and that just helps take any steps or irregularities off it. All right, this brings me to the section where I quote or take a memory verse from memory. So today, everyone knows John 3:16. At least a lot of people know John 3:16. And so I'm going to go a couple verses after John 3:16, John 3:18. And I'm going to read it right now. He who believes in him is not condemned, but he who does not believe in him is condemned already because he has not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of God. And there's your verse for today, guys. Thanks.
As me as my daddy.
Yeah.
Me and my daddy are here on me.
And that's my baby girl telling you a message from her. All right, check this out. I've got a couple classic Ford manifolds right here that may be pretty rare, hard to find. If you want a video on that, maybe make a comment. All right, next time, guys. Kind of see the difference in color of the material in the video there. So that's what you're looking at. So that's all that I did on the intake side of it. So not a ton, but in the right areas just to fix some stuff that was going on here. And the exhaust side, all right, we'll look at the exhaust side, which, all right, trying to see what's going to give us the best view of what we're looking at here. Maybe from this side. Let me try and set this in here. There, you can see that kind of some of the same things we did with the valve guide boss on the intake side, we did over here also. Just kind of thinning that up and creating more space, especially right up here in this area where it was extremely tight before, right here. And I'll shoot it from the top here so you can see. A little difficult to do this. Yeah, right here, there was almost no space here before, and so we thinned out this area, made more space in between the long turn, right between the boss and this inside of this bowl area. And we created more space over here and got rid of excess guide boss material that used to be over here. And then you can see that I put a point on it over here. There it is. You can see it, I put a point on the back side. Like I said, this stuff is hard to see on video, and it will probably turn out better than what I'm looking at right now, but you can see that. So that air doesn't hit a big step right here like it used to and crash into that. This allows that air to go in a more efficient pattern across and down through here, and just helps it flow more. And there used to be a step right where that divot is, or that black spot. Okay, and that used to have a little nub on it that would stick up. So I just smoothed that down and evened that area out and got rid of that little nub. So that's all you need to do there. There used to be a step over here, right here where I'm pointing with the flashlight. I got rid of that little step that was a real sharp area right there, and I got rid of that also. Let me put the other light there. There it is. And that area used to be right here. There used to be a big sharp step, so we got rid of that. And I think there was a little bit over on this side too, right on the inside there was a little step, so we just smoothed that out and got rid of those areas that used to be there. But you can see that I did not take off a lot of material, because that's what I said. I wasn't gonna take off a ton of material, and you don't need to take off a ton of material to make these things better. You can take more off the short turn than I did. I know that short turn doesn't have a lot of meat there, so I left more material in that short turn of the exhaust, and we'll turn and look at that here. So 1 second as I turn this. Okay. Like I said in the introduction, the short turn on this exhaust side and the shape of the exhaust, it's rough. I mean, if you've ever worked on one of these, it's tough. But I rolled that back and smoothed that out. There used to be kind of the same situation as the intake. There used to be a step that used to go around here. Not a step, sorry. More of a hump that used to go around here on the inside of this bolt area. That I took that material out and smoothed it out and just made it even with the valve seat here, sorry. Trying to think of my words here. So just got rid of that, evened that out, and then rolled over this. There it is. Rolled over this short turn here, and made that a much better radius. It used to be, a 90-degree cut right there, real sharp. So that's what we did there. And then just there a little bit here, a little bit right here. There was kind of a sharp area here, right after that valve seat on the intake side, and I just laid that back and just smoothed that area out a little bit. Also, right over here, there was a little bit of irregularities, and so I smoothed that area out right there and took some of those irregularities that used to be there out of it. So that's kind of the gist of what I did. I will say this, when you're working with these, you have to really be gentle with these port stuffers, because one of them chipped on me, and so a big chunk fell out of it, not this one. So yeah, so there's always stuff like that. So yeah, it's one of the most sensitive pieces I've ever had to work on, is that stuffer, because they will chip on you. So you really have to be gentle and careful when working them, don't get excited and push them too hard or too fast. So that's basically what I did to these heads. I have some flow numbers over here for these heads, and I'll show you that. So this is only going to get like 550 thousandths lift. Not a ton, like I said. Pretty mild, just need to improve on it. Make it better, nothing crazy. So here we go. Here's our flow numbers that we have. And right here, here's our stock. And then here's what we are now, 116. Now we're 142. This is intake side, by the way. 163 out of the stock, 213, 210, 261 at 400 thousandths. First one was 200 thousandths, sorry. 500 thousandths. 246 was stock, 298. So super close to 300 at 500 thousandths lift. At 600, this is, oh, right here's 550 where it will be. That's where it will be living with that camshaft. That's 307.5. Call it 307, 308, whatever. It's pretty close either way. 600 used to be 273, like I was telling you earlier. Now we're at 314. 7 used to be 290. And now we're at 332 CFM. So pretty significant. You know, that's 42 CFM right up there at 7. And down here, that's at 500 thousandths. We're talking about 52 CFM better. Down here at 3, I mean, look at this. This is 50 CFM better at 300 thousandths. At 200 thousandths, what are we looking at? There's 28 CFM better, if I'm thinking about that correctly. So it's just short of 30 CFM better at 200 thousandths. Over here at 4, I don't know if I said that, that is 41 CFM, and somebody told me you couldn't do it. I've had a number of people telling me, oh, you can't, just if you're not going to have a big, huge, massive 700 thousandths inch lift cam, don't touch them because you're not going to improve them, especially at that lower lift. Yeah, baloney. Look what I just did. And this is really basic, easy stuff. I didn't go crazy on this. Exhaust side. All right, exhaust side. 104 to 106. Yeah, 2 CFM, nothing big. Right here, 134 to 141. Remember, I was the safest. I took the least amount of material out of that short turn on the exhaust side. I want to leave as much material as possible. Okay, so right here we're at 7 CFM at 3 at 400 thousandths. We are 16 CFM, it looks like, from 154 to 170. At 500 thousandths, went from 169 to 188. So that is almost 20. That's 19 CFM difference that we improved on. And this is where it'll be living, where it'll be flowing 194 at 550. 600,000 used to be 178. Now we're 199. That's 21 CFM better. 700,000 used to be 184 CFM. Now we're at 204, 184 to 204, 20 CFM. So this is what we did with this head. That's how it turned out. Just being really conservative and really mild with it, not going crazy with anything, but just wanting some improvements for the, that lower lift cam. Now the best I've seen out of one of these without port plates, high ported, the exhaust port plate and all that, is right around that 220, I think, is the best I've seen at the very peak. So not a ton more than what we got here. If you compare this to that set of NKB heads that I did for the 5.8 engine, I mean the intake side isn't a lot different until you get up to the very peak where this one starts to pull away. You know, like 10 more CFM here, and you know, like 30 CFM here at the top or something like that. So other than that, it's pretty close to that set of heads, except on the exhaust side, that set of NKB heads that I did just pretty much murders this head at this point anyway. Like I said, this head can be better, but that's just where it is right now, and that's just comparison's sake. So anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this video. There it is. That is that 351 Cleveland 4V head. So I want to thank you guys for coming and checking it out. If you have one of these heads, or you're just curious about it, or you just wanted to see kind of what was done, there it is. All right, until next time, guys, keep racing, keep wrenching, keep having fun with your hot rods. We will see you later. Bye.